You think your cheap old pool matters? That's how she sneered at me, clipboard shaking in one hand, phone in the other, barking into 911 about toxic fumes. It was 300 in the morning, the street so silent you could hear her voice bouncing off the wet pavement, and the only other sound was the hum of my pool pump. The chlorine smell was nothing out of the ordinary, but the way she waved those papers around, you'd think I was on trial right there in my own backyard. I felt the damp air sticking to my skin, heard the dispatcher ask her for proof, and caught that flicker in her eyes when she realized I wasn't budging. Barefoot, half awake but not powerless, would you have let her in? My name's Darius Miller. I work IT systems management at the local hospital, been living here for about 12 years, and I thought I'd seen just about every flavor of HOA crazy. Turns out I hadn't seen the half of it. What woke me that night wasn't my alarm or a medical call from work. It was the kind of aggressive banging that makes you think somebody's house is on fire or the cops are about to break your door down. Stumbled out of bed, feet hitting the cold hard wood, trying to figure out what disaster landed in my backyard at that hour. Glanced out the kitchen window, and there she was, silhouetted by the security light and waving papers in the air, Malene Pierce, our HOA president, clutching a clipboard like it was a badge. It was surreal, like one of those movies where the neighbor finally loses it and you realize you never really knew them at all. She'd always seemed a little intense at the barbecues, always talking about environmental issues, but nothing that prepared me for this scene, demanding access to my pool at 3:00 a.m. for heat testing before the certification reviewers arrive at dawn. She rattled it off like it was as normal as checking the mail. And there I was standing in my pajamas thinking, what in the world is heat testing and why do you need it on my property now? The chlorine hung heavy. The mist from the sprinklers drifted under the floodlights, and the way she talked temperature baselines, thermal photography compliance, it all sounded official enough to make me question myself for a second. She had a checklist pointed at it like that proved her right. Maybe I missed something in the HOA emails. God knows I never read half of them. But I hadn't signed anything about this, and I sure as hell hadn't been warned about certification reviewers showing up at sunrise. Then Elena, my wife, appeared behind me, rubbing her eyes, tightening her robe. She works as a legal assistant downtown, and her radar for sketchy situations is sharp. "Darius, what's going on?" she asked, and as soon as I explained, her whole vibe shifted from groggy to laser-focused. "They can't mandate testing on private property without written consent," she said. "That's basic property law." I watched Malene's jaw tighten, but she kept it together until she didn't. Instead of backing down, she whips out her phone and dials 911. My stomach drops. "I need immediate response for a chemical exposure hazard," she says. "Strong chlorine odors, possible respiratory danger." I'm standing there, hands shaking, trying to get my camera app open because this is no longer a weird HOA disagreement. This is full-on manipulation of emergency services. The dispatcher, "Thank God, isn't born yesterday. Ma'am, has anyone been evacuated? Any signs of immediate danger?" Malene starts stumbling, tries to turn it back on me. "We haven't been able to conduct proper safety testing because the homeowner's refusing access." Elena steps up, voice calm but iron strong. "This is Elena Miller. I'm recording this. There is no chemical emergency. This woman is demanding unauthorized access for supposed HOA certification. The operator says someone will be sent to check things out." So we're standing there, me still recording Malene pacing and scanning my backyard like she's hunting for violations. Her eyes linger on my old sedan, the string lights, the basic lawn furniture, like she's mentally cataloging everything to use against me later. She starts snapping her own photos supposedly for the hazard, but it's clear she's after more. Elena takes pictures of her right back. 15 minutes later, Officer Mark Lewis shows up. Looks like a guy who's seen his share of HOA drama, but even he seems thrown by the hour and the story. He listens to Malene's spiel, and almost right away her story starts unraveling. Not exactly an emergency, she says, but community safety standards. Officer Lewis is having none of it. "Ma'am, I'll need to see the specific bylaw that lets you access private property for testing at 3 a.m., he says. She rifles through her papers, comes up empty. He gets more interested, not less, the longer she talks. Can you show me written consent from the homeowner, documentation from the certification company? Each question chips away at her composure. I keep recording timestamp 3:15 a.m., capturing her flustered answers, the officer's questions. Elena whispering legal reminders. The air smells like chlorine sprinklers still go in my backyard turned crime scene. Officer Lewis finishes his report, hands me an incident number. Keep this. Document everything. If there's another incident, reference this case. Malene gathers her papers. Mask. Slipping. This isn't over, Darius. Some people need to learn what community means. There's a coldness in her voice that chills me. Next morning, coffee in hand, Elena and I dig through old HOA emails. My phone won't stop buzzing, neighbors asking what happened with the police. Word travels fast. Rebecca Shaw, 3 doors down, shows up with a manila folder. She's an accountant for the county, the kind who reads every word of legal paperwork. She spreads out highlighted documents, sticky notes everywhere explaining how the green certification program is tied to $30,000 in county matching funds if the community hits certain energy scores. But how does that mean accessing private property? Elena asks. Rebecca pulls out an internal HOA email from Malene to the certification company, my name right there. Darius Miller's pool will bring our median efficiency score down. His older equipment should provide the contrast we need. I felt like I'd been punched. For months, Malene had played nice, praised my practical pool, used it as the bad example to boost community ratings for grant money. Elena's face went pale. That's not just a privacy violation, that's manipulation for financial gain. My phone kept buzzing now. The whole street wanted to know what happened. Other neighbors reported seeing people taking photos of their homes too. Rebecca found proof county rules require written consent for any data used in certification. Submitting without it. Grounds for losing the funding, even legal penalties. Turns out my property had been dinged repeatedly for little things, old car, simple yard, while identical stuff at fancier homes was praised. Systematic bias hidden behind community standards. Elena found our homeowner's insurance policy could be voided if my property was used for commercial data collection, so if Malene had succeeded, I could have lost coverage for a claim I never saw coming. The kicker, Rebecca found logs that matched my smart irrigation system reset with the timing of thermal photos in the certification application. My tech had been accessed probably by someone with the HOA to stage the perfect bad example shot. Security footage even caught a drone hovering at 2:50 a.m., right as my system reset. I saw it all, red light blinking, flying over my pool, deliberate, targeted, and way beyond anything resembling fair play. I went outside, saw Malene with a maintenance worker at my fence, some kind of antenna gadget in hand. What exactly are you installing? I demanded, phone out. The guy sweating bullets admits motion sensor disguised as a garden fixture to record pool activity. Ma'am said it was approved by the board. Malene's face goes white. I refuse to let them near my fence. Elena's already calling Officer Lewis. When he arrives and sees the equipment, he shifts from calm to serious investigation mode, takes photos, writes another incident report. Malene can't produce a single real document, just brochures and blank forms. Officer Lewis makes it clear this isn't just HOA drama, it's criminal trespass and computer crime. As the crowd of neighbors grows, Rebecca reveals other families had surprise. 3 a.m. Visits, 2 nighttime inspections, fabricated rules, intimidation. With everything laid out, network logs, officer reports, drone footage, financial manipulation, the ombudsman at mediation can't ignore it. Residents start organizing petitioning for Malene's resignation. When the certification company and county grant board join the investigation, things escalate fast. Our evidence gets Malene banned from the certification program permanently. The state HOA board suspends all local authority, appoints Rebecca interim president. It all unfolds on Zoom. District attorney, state reps, county officials, certification auditors. Malene's composure crumbles. She shouts, blames, uncooperative residents, talks about cultural fit, the kind of language that gets state investigators scribbling notes. Elena and I watch as law enforcement knocks on Malene's door, charging her with computer trespass, fraud, harassment, and misuse of emergency services. The aftermath. She's serving 6 months in county jail, 2 years probation, banned from any HOA roles statewide. Our new HOA bylaws require consent for property access, quarterly transparency reports, legal audits. Now other neighborhoods call us for advice. Kids paint murals at our property rights festival. Neighbors barbecue on my lawn, and nobody's worried about hidden rules or nighttime inspections anymore. If you ask me, none of this was about a pool. It was about drawing a line at 300 a.m. or whenever they come knocking between community and control. Would you have let her in? Or would you stand up and make sure your own quiet corner of the world stays yours? Drop a comment. Share your story. Tell me where you draw the line on justice and authority. If you stuck with me this far, thanks for listening. Stay safe, stand strong, and remember, you're a whole lot tougher than you think.